everyone, a very good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Mubina Kapasi. Markets are showing a nice bounce. We have a triple-digit rise seen on the Sensex, and the Nifty as well is gaining a good 80 points. So I suppose we are trying to recuperate from all those fears that we have been witnessing on account of the coronavirus outbreak. Now let's kickstart Market Fatafat, which, as you know, is of course the 30-minute show that flags off the big movers and shakers in 30 minutes. I have with me today from the research desk, Soumya and Vinny, and in a short while from now we'll be joined by Sameet Chavan of Angel Broking to talk about the technicals. Afternoon everyone, and let's kickstart the show with a big loser. That's Godfrey Phillips. The fears with respect to promoters and the communication between promoters being not at the optimal level is something that certainly is poking the street. Yesterday we had almost a 4.5% fall in Godfrey Phillips. Today that continues. It's a 6% drop that the stock price is seeing. Lalit Modi, remember, is someone who essentially opened a can of worms when he tweeted about how every asset of the KK Modi group is on sale, including the stake that the group owns in Godfrey Phillips, part of which of course is also owned by Philip Morris. And this in turn is something that has led to investors pressing the sell button of sorts, because he's also said that the other three trustees are not on board with the sale. So how things will pan out is something that is in focus, and you are seeing the stock price fall a good 6% today as well in trade. Well, moving on, Soumya, let's talk about Cummins India. This stock certainly is all abuzz, though mind you, it's come off very sharply from the day's high, but nevertheless, how were the third quarter numbers?
Well, these were above what the street was expecting. In fact, revenue also saw a degrowth of around 2.8%. The PAT saw a growth of around 1.5%. Having said that, in fact, the company and the management in the con call did state that the sales outlook for FY20 was maintained at 3 to 5% for domestic business. And in fact, they did continue to add that this is all on back of the fact that there was a gradual revival in domestic business on back of the fact that government has been actively taking measures to revive the economy. They continue to say that the export market is facing some amount of challenges, but they nevertheless have maintained their annual guidance of 20%, and the fact that also despite not the degrowth of revenue, they did maintain their guidance, and that's what's cheering the streets right now.
Okay, all right, that's the stock price of Cummins for you. It's still gaining a good 3% But before I move any further, let's just take a look at Bajaj Finance, which has just delivered its third quarter numbers as we speak. And while the press release, of course, opens, in the meantime, I'm going to call out the ET Now poll as well. Where were we expecting the numbers, the profit after tax, the NII? Okay, there you have it. On a consolidated basis, I do have a profit after tax figure of around 1,600 crore rupees that has been delivered by Bajaj Finance. If I have to compare that with the ET Now poll, it's most definitely come in above expectations, because we were expecting the number to come in at 1,500 crore rupees. So definitely above expectations in a big way. The NII as well is something that I'll just have to essentially calculate. But yeah, the expectation for the NII is roughly at around 3,950 crore rupees. So that's, of course, essentially the word then on Bajaj Finance's NII. 6,100 crores is the interest income, and 2,489. So just a quick black of the envelope calculation, and then I'll have the NII figure as well. Like I said, our expectation was roughly of about 3,950 crore, but I think a calculated NII figure of 3,615 crores is what I have with me. Let's see if they have any reported NII figure, and then of course I'll get an expert opinion on these numbers as well. All right, there you have it. Consolidated PAT, like I said, a 52% rise, 1,600 crore rupees. We have new loans booked during the third quarter, which increased 13% on a year-on-year basis. AUMs grew a good 35%. And yeah, there you have it. The NII, the reported NII, is at around roughly approximately 4,537 crore rupees. Let me now bring on board Gaurang Shah of Geojit Financial Services to talk about these numbers. Gaurang, reported NI 4,537 crores. I have new loans booking increasing by 13%. I have a profit after tax figure of 1,600 crore rupees. Let's get in your initial take on this.
So I think the numbers that have been just referred to by you, and I hope that there is no one-off or any extraordinary item. They are much better than what the street has estimated, and the new loan book growth, I think that's very, very extraordinary. Let me give a disclosure. We do have maintained a positive coverage on Bajaj Finance for a very long time. And like I said, I hope there is nothing hidden in between the lines or one-off extraordinary.
Okay, okay, there we have it. We have that provision for impairment at Jaguar Land Rover as well. I'm not sure about the figure. I'm just going to take a look at that, a little closely and see if there's anything over there. But yeah, I think there is some sort of a provision that the company has made. But in the meanwhile, maybe my colleague Soumya will have more details. Soumya, over to you. How are the numbers looking?
Mubina, if I look at the net interest income, it reported was at around, the calculated one was at around 3,615 rupees. Well, we were expecting around 3,950 crore rupees, but reported one is definitely higher. Profit came in at around 1,600 odd crore rupees, which was higher than what we were expecting. As far as the AUM is concerned, well, it grew at around 35%, which is a very strong number given, and it was actually within what we were expecting. However, we'll have to watch out as to how much is the loan growth for this quarter, since we were expecting somewhere around 32-35%, and the fact that AUM has come somewhere around the similar levels. This is pretty much in line what we were expecting. However, this is a slight amount of moderation compared to the previous quarters. But despite the fact that there has been a tough macro environment, and in Q2 presentation also the company did say that they were witnessing slowdown, we'll have to watch out as to how the other matrix panned out for Bajaj Finance. The gross NPA was at around 1.61%. While for the previous quarter, it was at around similar levels. So I think stable asset quality as of now, AUM growth around 35%, decent set of numbers as per expected rates.
Soumya, we had the loan losses of the provision figure, which has doubled actually from the corresponding quarter. They've also said that they've made this accelerated provision of 85 crores in its loan against securities portfolio. Any word on that? Because, yeah, while gross NPA on a ratio basis may be that, but, you have the provision figure that's actually doubled, almost doubled.
Well, Mubina, there's something that has to be noted. In fact, across the industry, for this quarter, we have seen the provisions rising. And in fact, even for Bajaj Finance, this is in tandem with the fact that we are seeing some amount of tough macro environment and companies are getting very conservative with their provisioning. However, we might have to get the word from the management as to what this actually means. In fact, we'll also want them to watch out as to what they're doing with their exposure and treatment to Karvi exposure. So these are certain things we might have to get clarity from the management, but provisions as far as the industry is concerned have seen rise on both YOY and QOQ basis, and this is pretty much the conservative stance that the companies are adopting given the tough macro environment.
Okay, all right. Sharp spike, by the way, in the stock price of Bajaj Finance. We have with us Deven Choksi as well of KR Choksi. Deven, thanks so much for joining in. A quick take from you as well on these numbers. The NII has come in a bit below expectations, but again, a nice beat on the profit after tax. And we have a loan growth figure that has, I think, last time I checked, it's grown 13. New loans booked has grown 13%. Your take on these numbers, and of course, the provisions as well, like you heard my colleague Soumya talk about.
So good afternoon, Mubina. Well, I think numbers on the face of it looks pretty convincing. The AUM growth has actually come in line with our expectations. Maybe I think one item which we expected them to provide a little higher was, I think, the provision related to Karvi episode. And I think that particular amount has been provided a little lower compared to what we had imagined. And that could be one of the reasons for which I think the profit figures are on a higher side. But nonetheless, I think the coverage ratio and I think the NPAs have probably, I think, remained in cash control for the company. So I think that gives me confidence that, yes, I think these numbers are probably worth looking at. The the important aspect is in this particular quarter, they had the full advantage of the festive season, in which I think they managed to piggyback ride on the digital sales, which the likes of Amazon and others have been recording. I think that's the advantage that they have recorded, and that is where I think we are seeing a larger growth picture as far as the result is concerned. So yes, convincing result, definitely, and I think happy that they are continuing to grow at a faster speed, even in the challenging environment.
What do you want to give? Okay. All right. On that note, Deven as well as Gaurang, thanks so much then for joining us on this detailed discussion on Bajaj Finance. Sharp spike in the stock. After all the give and take, it's at about 4,273 rupees. That's where the stock price is currently trading at. We do know what a great story this has been from a wealth creation perspective. In the long term, it's really seen a nice surge, made a lot of money for retail investors as well, just almost has this one-way upward journey. And like our experts as well were flagging off, these numbers to sort of underpin this uptick that we have been seeing in the stock price. In fact, on that note, let me bring on board Sameet Chavan of Angel Broking as well. Sameet, any view that you have on Bajaj Finance?
See, clearly this has been one of the outperforming stocks over the past many years now. We can see a sturdy structure, series of higher highs, higher lows. Recently, stock slipped into a consolidation mode, but at every low levels, we are seeing buying emerging in this counter. Looking at today's price action, it appears that the stock is likely to resume its higher degree uptrend quite soon. So 4,300 is the level to watch out for. Once the stock manages to reclaim 4,300 on a closing basis, we could see the stock heading towards 4,450, 4,500 over the next few days.
Okay, all right. So there you have it, folks. That's Bajaj Finance for you. We just discussed third quarter numbers. If you have to largely pull up the scorecard, you have the NI figure, at least on a reported basis, that's come above expectations. The profit after tax as well is above. And the asset quality is steady. 1.61% is the gross NPA. We will take a very short break right here on the show, but do come right back. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now let's continue with our countdown of big movers and shakers and more result reactions. Tata Coffee. Look at the way this stock is moving. It's certainly a big gainer. Vinny, how was the number?
Mubina, it was a very strong quarter for Tata Coffees, and that's why we are seeing such a big surge in the company's stock price today. Now let's look at the revenues, which are up by which are marginally up, and it stands around 500 crores. The consolidated PAT has also seen an improvement, and it's almost doubled on a YOY basis. There was an exceptional gain of around 6 crores for the company this quarter, and the margins have also improved by around 500 basis points. It's up and stands at around 16% versus 11% on a YOY basis. Now the the management said that the 8 o'clock coffee brand has seen improved profits due to lower advertisement and promotion costs, and overall there has been a cost optimism also from the company's side. So overall the strong set of numbers by Tata Coffee is the reason for the surge in today's stock price.
Beyond the 100 rupee mark is where the stock has moved today because of the third quarter numbers. KRBL, meantime, not such an enthusiastic move here. Revenues, yes, they did surge for a good 42%. Profit after tax as well did gain, but operationally it was a very weak quarter because the margins came in at just a meager 8% versus 21.6%. Now, the reason why you're also seeing that uptick in profit after tax, despite the compression in the margins, is A, because of inventory problems. In the corresponding quarter, there was a decrease in inventory. This quarter, of course, the restocking of sorts has come back and hit the P&L. Not just that, the finance cost as well has declined. So it's more or less been a benefit of sorts to the bottom line, that's the profit after tax, as opposed to the EBITDA. So hence, you're seeing a sharp compression in the margins, but your profit after tax has done very well. All right, Sameer, today, while all the auto stocks are gaining very smartly, the Nifty is gaining very smartly. You have Eicher, which is the only loser, even in the F&O space in the auto sector. Where do you see it move from here?
Well, recently we saw, the stock giving decent recovery from its recent lows of 15,500, 16,000. Stock gave a sharp surge toward 23,000 and then stock slipped into a consolidation mode. So this is more of a time-wise as well as a price-wise correction that has come in last 2 to 3 weeks. But overall, if you see the previous resistance of 19,500, which is the 200-day moving average as well, is likely to act as a very strong support for this particular counter. So around 19,500 we expect buying to emerge in this counter, so one should start accumulating this counter once this stock comes around this important support, and soon we would expect the stock heading beyond 21,500. So 21,500 on the higher side is the level to watch out for, and lower side 19,500, 19,300, these are the levels to watch out for.
Okay, that's Sameet's recommendation on Eicher Motors. Vinny, chemical stocks, all abuzz have been for the last few trading session. What exactly is the trigger?
Mubina, obviously, the coronavirus which has hit China, and China being the largest production hub for these chemicals, that obviously benefits the Indian chemical companies due to this. Now, obviously, the Chinese in the winter has, already seen a slowdown in production because of this virus. Now, this is being a compounding effect, so this will surely benefit the Indian chemical companies. Especially, we should look at the dye companies, dye and commodity companies, which will be like the primary beneficiaries of this, as the dye companies are mainly located in the Wuhan region, which has where the coronavirus had started. So also there is an analyst note which are saying that they are expecting a robust performance for FY20 as well as 21 for chemical companies in India, and the margins are also likely to improve for chemical companies in the quarter. So that is why we are seeing a nice surge in the stocks of chemical companies today.
Yeah, that we are. All of them are gaining very smartly today in trade. Okay, let's move on and talk about Narayana Hrudayalaya. Soumya, why are you flagging this one off?
Well, Mubina, this one's gaining a lot of investor eyeballs this time around. In fact, we have a bulk deal which is keeping the stock active in trade. Well, the buyers of this deal include DSP Mutual Fund, which bought close to about 12 lakh shares at the price of 340 rupees per share. And along with it, SBI Mutual Fund also bought some shares, close to about 65 lakh shares in the company. However, the seller was the CDC Group. So given the fact that these mutual funds are buying in the stocks of Narayana Hrudayalaya, we're seeing a lot of investor attraction and attention to this one, and which is gaining close to about 4% right now.
All right, 3.9% higher, precisely speaking. Ramco Cements, meantime, this one too has delivered its third quarter numbers just a couple of moments ago. And you'll see the sort of stock reaction itself on an intraday basis. As soon as the numbers hit the exchanges, you saw a sharp drop in the stock price, 4.5% down. Now, in fact, it's very close to the day's low. Numbers, yes, there was a bit of a growth on the top line, 1,273 crores versus a little over 1,200 crores in the corresponding quarter. But the bottom line was a bit disappointing. There was degrowth seen on the profit after tax. 101 crores is where it was in the corresponding quarter, but this time around the quarterly profit has dipped to 94.8 crore rupees. That may explain the reason why the stock is down. Okay, quickly moving on. Sameet, RBL Bank here as well. Lots of volatility seen. What's your view? RBL Bank.
This stock is clearly consolidating since last many weeks now.
Go ahead, Sameet.
Yes, generally, we don't provide any kind of trade setup considering its recent underperformance. So if I have to see any particular level, if this stock has to regain any kind of strength, this stock needs to surpass 350, 355, which has been acting as a sturdy wall. So only if this stock manages to surpass this strong resistance on a closing basis, then only we would see some kind of buying emerging in this counter. Otherwise, this stock is likely to consolidate on the higher side. 350, 350 remains to be a very strong resistance, and low side, whenever this stock comes around 320, 325, some kind of buying tends to emerge.
Okay, so that's the recommendation on an RBL Bank. There was a sharp dip, like you can see on your screens, once again, that came by on this stock on an intraday basis. Vinny, agrochemical stocks, what's the trigger over here?
So Mubina, we have seen an extremely good rainfall this season, and this is boosting the sowing of Rabi crops, and now the country is set to record a good Rabi harvest this time around, which is this bumper crop is obviously aiding these agrochemical stocks this time. And let's look at Dhanuka's charts today. Also, we are seeing a nice up move, and Dhanuka has gained around 39% in the last 1 month, and just in the last couple of days we have seen the stock gain more than 15%. So these stocks we'll surely keep an eye out for.
Okay, well, with that, but we're out of time, so we'll have to wrap it up. Sameet, Soumya and Vinny, thank you so much for joining in. Stay tuned. Closing trades will come up after a very short break.